Hello and welcome to Report World News. My name is Barno Nazarzoda. Uzbekistan plans to implement 737 projects worth $2.4 billion by the end of 2023, with the share of foreign investment amounting to $900 million. President Shavkat Mirziyoyev reviewed the projects on Monday. My colleague has the details.
New projects are set to deliver $1 billion worth of goods and create almost 36,000 new jobs. The export potential of new businesses is estimated as $326 million. The import substitution is to comprise $124 million. Most of the projects are to be implemented in the textile industry, the production of building materials, the pharmaceutical and food industries. One of the most promising projects will be the creation of a $100 million worth Gujarat Industrial Zone in Mirzabad district in cooperation with India. A total of 8 projects are to be implemented in this zone, including the production of equipment for drip irrigation and greenhouses, agricultural machinery units, mini equipment, plastic products, knitwear and food products. New facilities are set to annually export goods worth of $25 million.
The Uzbek authorities said on Monday that they have registered a vaccine manufactured by the Chinese company NHFA Longcom Biopharmaceutical against a new type of coronavirus. The Center for Advanced Technologies under the Ministry and the Research Institute for Virology are now conducting phase 3 clinical trials of the vaccine.
Given the active participation of the Ministry of Innovative Development and the Ministry of Health of Uzbekistan in trials of the vaccine, as well as their contribution to clinical research, Uzbekistan was recognized as the co-author of the vaccine. The vaccine will be sold in the country under the name ZFUZ-VAK 2001, the Ministry of Innovative Development said. Uzbekistan has also recently certified Russian Sputnik V vaccine for its mass use in the country. Russian ambassador to Uzbekistan Vladimir Turdanov said that Russia would supply 1 million doses of the vaccine for labor migrants to the republic. A contract for the supply of the second Russian vaccine, Epivac Corona, is to be signed in 2021. Only 20% of the Uzbek population is said to undergo vaccination due to the fact that it is voluntary. According to Uzbek officials, the first stage of the mass vaccination campaign will cover 4.1 million people, and deputies propose to vaccinate elderly and disabled persons, employees of the healthcare and education systems, as well as members of law enforcement bodies first.
The Uzbek government has initiated cooperation with the regional branch of the United Nations Office on Drugs and Crime in Central Asia. The country has transferred equipment for $674,000 for Office of Drug Control with support of the government of Japan. 14 vehicles and strategic tactical equipment were sent to National Information and Analytical Center for Drug Control under the Cabinet of Ministers, the State Customs Committee of the Security Service, the Interior Ministry, and the Department for Combating Economic Crimes under the Prosecutor General's Office. Uzbek government has approved a procedure for granting subsidies of up to 50% for domestic travel and the amount of local tourist fees charged for accommodation. The initiative was put forward by President on February 9.
According to the document, tickets for new flights are to be sold with a 25% discount, and if a ticket is purchased through tour operators, there will be another 15% discount and a general of 40%. There will also be an additional 15% discount on train tickets purchased from tour operators and 10% on hotel services. Moreover, the government has introduced a domestic tourist tax for accommodation. A $1 fee is to be used for promotions, advertisement and promotional activities to support domestic travel and entrepreneurs. Deputy Prime Minister Aziz Abduhakimov in January this year promised to introduce discounts on air and train tickets to revive the tourism sector, which has been badly affected by the coronavirus pandemic. The government in the next 3 years plans to implement $900 million worth projects in tourism sector, with the share of foreign direct investment amounting to $739.5 million.
Kyrgyzstan intends to import electricity from Uzbekistan, President Sadir Japarov told Kazhinform news agency on Monday. According to him, if Kyrgyzstan does not provide supplies from outside, then the republic will have to solve these issues on its own, but as a result, no one will have enough water during the harvesting season. He underlined a shortage of water in the world today, noting that Kyrgyzstan is also dealing with this problem. If the situation at our Tortogul reservoir develops in the same way as it is now, then it will come to a fraught state with disaster. Therefore, we're considering the issue of importing electricity from Kazakhstan and Uzbekistan, Japarov said. The number of newly registered COVID-19 cases worldwide rose again last week after dropping for 6 consecutive weeks, the World Health Organization said on Monday, warning people to remain vigilant. WHO Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus said the rebound was disappointing. He said the increase was due to lower restrictions and spread of the strains and people's relaxing of vigilance.
In the past week, the number of reported cases of COVID-19 increased for the first time in 7 weeks. You remember that I reported the virus was on a decline for consecutive 6 weeks. But first time in 7 weeks, we have a COVID increase. Reported cases increased in 4 of WHO's 6 regions: the Americas, Europe, Southeast Asia, and the Eastern Mediterranean.
The city of Istanbul will soon be connected via new regular flights with Fergana and Urgench, the capital of Khwarezm region of Uzbekistan. The flights to and from Fergana will begin on April 3 and with Urgench on March 28. Departures from Fergana to Istanbul will be operated twice a week on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Pilgrim tourism in Uzbekistan lacks specialists, and the country has decided to introduce a curriculum in this field at several universities starting from 2021-22 academic year. Lessons will be delivered in foreign languages. Moreover, the International University of Tourism, Silk Road, as well as archaeology departments at Bukhara, Samarkand, Fergana and Urgench state universities will teach students on management of cultural, natural and mixed heritage.
The US is preparing to slap targeted sanctions on Russians connected to the poisoning of Kremlin critic Alexei Navalny. That's according to sources who told Reuters the measures could come as early as Tuesday. Navalny fell ill on a flight in Siberia last August and was airlifted to Germany, where doctors concluded he had been poisoned with a nerve agent. Navalny has accused Russian President Vladimir Putin of ordering his murder, but the Kremlin has denied any involvement. If President Joe Biden goes ahead with the sanctions, it would mark a clear departure from the approach to Russia taken by his predecessor. Donald Trump, who left office in January, let last summer's incident pass without any punitive US action. The State Department did not immediately respond to a request for comment on the possibility of sanctions. One source said the US action may be coordinated with sanctions the European Union is planning to apply. Last month, EU foreign ministers agreed to target 4 officials close to Putin with asset freezes and travel bans. Navalny returned to Russia in January and was immediately arrested. He is currently serving a 2.5-year jail sentence for violating the terms of his parole for a 2014 fraud conviction. On Sunday, it emerged he had been transferred to a penal colony outside Moscow, known for its severe conditions. Biden has called the jailing of Navalny politically motivated and has pledged to take a tougher approach to Moscow. He said the US would no longer be, quote, rolling over in the face of aggressive action by Russia.
As one of Latin America's poorest countries, Bolivia has struggled to secure deals with Western drug makers for COVID-19 vaccines, but that changed late last year when incoming President Luis Arce turned to Russia for help. By the end of December, Bolivia clinched its first major deal with enough shots for some 20% of the population. The first Sputnik V doses arrived in the country in late January, just as cases were spiking, bringing hope to one of Latin America's most ravaged nations, where a recent surge has left corpses piling up amid overwhelmed funeral homes and cemeteries. Bolivian President Luis Arce.
Hoy el pueblo boliviano puede respirar tranquilidad.
Today, the Bolivian people can breathe easy. They can start to do so little by little and gradually.
Bolivia's reliance on Moscow underscores how governments across the region have turned to Russia's Sputnik V drug amid fears of being left behind in the global scramble for vaccines. While wealthier developed nations have signed deals with large drug companies like Pfizer and AstraZeneca, many Latin American countries have faced difficulties doing so. Bolivian Deputy Trade Minister Benjamin Blanco called discussions last year to obtain AstraZeneca's vaccine as difficult and intense, though he declined to give more details, citing a confidentiality agreement. He said Bolivia wasn't able to negotiate with Pfizer because the country lacked the infrastructure to store the vaccines at the freezing temperatures required. But Russia's political will, Blanco said, made a deal possible.
Gracias a este alto grado de relacionamiento que tenemos a nivel político.
Thanks to the relationship that we have at the political level, Russia considers Bolivia a strategic partner and vice versa, thanks to the intervention of our own Bolivian president, who has contacted the president of Russia by phone. This contract was achieved.
For Russia, acceptance in Latin America lends legitimacy to its vaccine, which faced initial skepticism. It also provides Moscow an opportunity to make inroads in the resource-rich region at a time when COVID-19 vaccines are becoming a tool for soft power. Sputnik V is named after the Soviet-era satellite that triggered the space race in a nod to the project's geopolitical importance for Russian President Vladimir Putin. 5 other Latin American countries have now authorized use of the Sputnik V, including Argentina, Mexico, Nicaragua, Paraguay, and Venezuela.
Johnson & Johnson is set to ship nearly 4 million shots of its single-dose COVID-19 vaccine around the U.S. this week. But a top executive warned Monday that its next round of deliveries will depend on regulatory approvals at a new plant. J&J's chief scientific officer, Paul Stoffels, told Reuters Monday that while a new, larger plant run by manufacturer Catalent has been preparing the doses, the U.S. Food and Drug Administration has yet to give them the green light to start shipping. Stoffels says he expects the Catalent plant to receive approval in the next few days and believes J&J can fulfill its promise to supply 20 million doses of its COVID-19 vaccine by the end of this month. Meanwhile, Catalent says it expects approval in the coming weeks. J&J Chief Executive Officer Alex Gorsky also told NBC that Americans should begin getting the company's shot as early as Tuesday or Wednesday. He said he was confident that the J&J vaccine would have a robust response against new, more contagious variants of the coronavirus based on clinical trials in countries like South Africa and Brazil. The company says it's developing a version of its vaccine to target the South African variant and will be ready to start late-stage trials by this summer.
In October of 2020, a 10-second piece of video art of what appears to be a giant Donald Trump collapsed on the ground and covered in slogans amid an otherwise idyllic setting was purchased by Miami-based art collector Pablo Rodriguez Fraile for $67,000. Last week, he sold it for $6.6 million. The video by digital artist Beeple, whose real name is Mike Winkleman, was authenticated by blockchain, which serves as a digital signature to certify who owns it and that it is the original work. It's a new type of digital asset known as a non-fungible token, or NFT, that has exploded in popularity as enthusiasts and investors scramble to spend enormous sums of money on items that only exist online. Rodriguez Fraile explained what he thinks set this piece of digital content apart and made it worth its hefty price tag.
Same argument as, you can go into the Louvre and take a picture of the Mona Lisa and you can have it there, but it doesn't have any value because it doesn't have the provenance or the history of the work. Again, the reality here is that this is very, very valuable because of who is behind. It's a full career of a generation career in this space and being the best of the best.
Examples of NFTs range from digital artworks and sports cards to pieces of land in virtual environments. The start of the rush for NFTs has been linked with the launch of the NBA's Top Shot website, which allows users to buy and trade NFTs in the form of video highlights of games. 5 months after its launch, the platform says it has over 100,000 buyers and nearly $250 million in sales. The majority of sales take place in the site's peer-to-peer marketplace, with the NBA getting a royalty on every transaction. Nate Hart is a Nashville-based NFT investor who says he bought a LeBron James Cosmic NFT on NBA Top Shot for $40,000 in January, then sold it for $125,000 in February.
the hype is extremely high right now. I've used the analogy a couple times that, early NFT guys are in a way kind of have kind of been presented with the same opportunity as maybe people who found Bitcoin early.
Investors caution, however, that while big money is flowing into NFTs, the market could represent a price bubble. Like many new niche investment areas, there is the risk of major losses if the hype dies down, while there could be prime opportunities for fraudsters in a market where many participants operate under pseudonyms. Still, auction house Christie's has just launched its first ever sale of digital art, a collage of 5,000 pictures, also by Beeple, which exists solely as an NFT. Noah Davis is a contemporary art expert at Christie's.
And we were at $1 million in 10 minutes, with a starting bid at $100. And that just truly is, we've never seen anything even remotely close to that kind of activity.
Bids for the work have hit $3 million, with the sale due to close on March 11th.
The U.S. isn't ready to share its COVID-19 vaccine supply with Mexico just yet. That's according to the White House on Monday.
The administration's focus is on ensuring that every American is vaccinated. And once we accomplish that objective, we're happy to discuss further steps beyond that.
Press Secretary Jen Psaki's remarks came just before U.S. President Joe Biden held his first bilateral meeting with Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador. A joint statement after the meeting said the two countries would deepen their cooperation responding to COVID-19, but did not mention vaccines. The U.S. hopes to supply all Americans with vaccinations by the end of summer, while Mexican officials have expressed concern about supply bottlenecks and wealthy nations hoarding supplies. So far, they've vaccinated about 1% of the population, according to Reuters data.
Wall Street rose sharply across the board on Monday as investors cheered a vaccine from Johnson & Johnson getting U.S. approval and Washington moving forward with another stimulus bill. The Dow jumped 600 points while the S&P 500 had its strongest one-day gain since June. Financials and technology led the broad-based rally, which saw big tech names such as Apple, Microsoft, and Facebook climb after being hit last week. Courtney Dominguez is Senior Wealth Advisor at Payne Capital Management.
Yeah, I'm really happy to see how well the markets have opened this week. We're seeing a really big rebound in the markets, and that's really after a big sell-off that we had last week with interest rates starting to rise. And I think we're really starting to see that the markets are going to, at the end of the day, price in all this good economic data that we keep continuing to see. So we're going to have some ups and downs here, but seeing how quickly they're recovering, I see as a really positive sign.
Travel stocks such as Delta and American Airlines rose on the hopes that more shots in arms will lead to a swift economic recovery, while Boeing jumped nearly 6% after United Airlines said it was buying 25 new 737 MAX jets and moved up the delivery of others as United prepares for expected growth in demand once the health crisis abates. Meanwhile, the GameStop saga continues. Shares of the video game retailer ended up nearly 20% as volume spiked late in Monday's session.
And this was our last report. Thank you for watching and goodbye.